special. We have an amazing individual with us tonight. This amazing young lady has been absolutely just putting in the work and making things happen in the e-commerce arena, and I'm just so proud of what she's been able to accomplish in just like a short period of time. And it's amazing to be able to know that when you decide to make this thing happen, that it can happen, right? So yeah, guys, give some hearts, some likes, some thumbs up. We're going to get this thing kicked off here shortly. I'm just sharing this across a couple different channels right now. That's why you guys hear the clicking and stuff like that. But yeah, I am excited. So don't forget to keep those areas where you guys are coming in from. So I see Denver, I see Australia. Carla said she'll catch the replay. Where else you guys coming in from? Justin Campbell said, "What's up? What's up, Justin?" Yes, we are live. All right, all right, all right. So again, guys, I want to introduce this amazing individual, Emily Harrington. Again, I'm not going to steal her thunder, her awesome sauce, like I mentioned earlier, because she is going to give you guys some background about herself and what she's been able to do in her econ journey. And so without further ado, let me go ahead and let Emily just go ahead and let it rip and just tell you guys a little bit about her background. So go ahead, Emily.
Hi. I don't think I've ever done one of these before.
See, that's how fresh you are. Like, this is like no hokey dokey, guys. Like, these are people like in the game, in the ecom space. And that's why we wanted to bring you guys the ecom newbie success series, right? This is all about, people that are getting outside of their comfort zones in more ways than one. It's now being broadcasted in front of hundreds of people around the world. So it's okay, Emily. Everyone here, they love you guys. Give Emily some love right now. Give her some likes. Give her some hearts. Let her know it's okay. It's okay to be nervous. You guys won't bite. Hopefully, you guys don't bite through the screen. But no, you're cool, Emily. Go ahead and take the floor.
Okay. Well, my name's Emily, and I am just a regular person. I did not probably about a year ago, a little under a year ago, I did not know anything about the internet, like as far as any kind of this stuff. Like, I didn't know you could do a business online. So literally started from scratch with zero knowledge about anything. We'll make a long story short, I first entered into looking at affiliate marketing. Then I went in. Now, I never started any businesses with this. I just looked at other people's videos and stuff to see what it was about. And that's kind of got into all of this. I started with affiliate marketing, and then I went into FBA, looked at that a little bit, and decided that I didn't have the upfront capital to start that. And that was one deciding factor on why I went with this model. That's how I found the drop shipping model. So that's kind of how I came into this. And a friend in another in a FBA group referred me to this group, and that's how I found Earnest.
So kind of walk us back a little bit. Like, what prompted you to start kind of like this journey to wanting to build an online business? What kind of sparked your interest to be like, hey, I need to figure out like how people are making money on the internet, and I need to get some of that.
Yeah, well, the main thing that sparked it was just watching other people's YouTube videos and seeing that they were actually making it work, and that it's possible to just sit on a laptop and make money. Obviously, there is a lot of work that is involved, but once you get past that, I mean, you can create a legitimate business that makes a lot of money, and you can sit behind your laptop, and then obviously you get other people to do that for you later on. But
Gotcha.
yeah.
So you were just like, so like what inspired it though? Like, how did you even come up with the concept of like, hey, let me go figure out how to make money on the internet? Like what sparked that like entrepreneurship inside of yourself? Like, were you always someone that just thought like, hey, one day I'm going to figure out how to make money online, or, what was that kind of brought you to that point? Because I think full time, like you work in the transportation industry, correct? Like that's what you do on a full-time basis.
I do. I'm a mail carrier. I deliver mail for the post office. So, um, I mean, it's a good job, but
It's just not what you see yourself doing for the next 40 years,
yeah,
I'm assuming.
exactly. That is exactly. I think that's probably the core of why I wanted to find something else. Kind of like Ozzy was talking about last night. Just sitting around watching TV is not how I roll. I like watching TV, but there's so much stuff that you could do with that span of time that you're wasting. And um, there's obviously, I have some debt. So I'm not gonna, I'm not ashamed of it. Everybody's got debt at some point. Congratulations if you don't, but I want to get out of that. I want to, obviously be able to have a comfortable lifestyle and not worry about bills. If medical come up, basically just take care of my family. That's
Gotcha. So it was more like you had some things that you wanted to kind of get rid of. Um, and you just wanted to start searching for other ways to be able to do that other than the traditional way that you were doing it at this point in time, or at that point in time rather.
right. And I've always been I I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. My whole family has. I mean, we have history with that. My mom's had her own business. My grandpa's had his own business, so it kind of runs in the family. But I have another business alongside of this one.
Right.
So technically I have the full-time job and then the other business that I co-own, and then I have this one.
Oh,
So
dang. So you're just like what do they call it? Serial entrepreneur?
yeah,
Wow. So you just naturally so it sounds like the one thing you did bring to the table was a little motivation. You seem like the entrepreneur side of things kind of work, right?
yeah,
From your family.
yeah.
Okay.
Um, I I want to have multiple streams of income. I don't want to rely on just if you're thinking that you have to rely on just your 9 to 5 for the rest of your life, you don't have to do that. And that's where I'm heading to.
Gotcha. So Emily, is it possible for women to make money in e-commerce? I
Oh,
know
hell
that's a question that I know a lot of people wonder about. So women can make money in e-com?
Lord, yes. Uh, I mean, if you have a brain and you got some motivation and you can commit to something, you can make money online. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, because I know for me, like that's one of the things that I just love the most about you is the fact that, when like you mentioned, in the beginning, like when you started getting into the e-commerce arena, I don't even think like, you had an email, but like it wasn't like, you knew how to create custom folders in your inbox, or, you really knew how to build a website. I mean, when you talk about like starting from scratch, like you knew absolutely nothing. Am I getting that right? Like you didn't really know anything.
I did not know anything. I had an email. I knew how to work that. And I knew how to work the internet, obviously. Like I wasn't completely dumb on that part. But as far as, you know, setting up G Suite and coding, and that was all like when I say I started from scratch, that is what I mean. I I did not know anything about anything. But like I said, if you have enough determination and enough commitment, it you can learn it. I'm proof of that. I'm a woman, and I do have I mean, it is a hardworking 9 to 5 job. It's not sitting at a desk. Like I deliver mail in the heat, and it sucks. But um, yeah, I mean, I mean, I don't know where I was going with that.
Hey, no, it's totally cool. Like you said, just you just didn't want to do what you were doing, like, for forever. So, like, obviously, like you said, you started learning about, affiliate marketing, and then you kind of came across ecom. Like, what was it that kind of sparked your interest, about me in particular? Because I don't even really think I've ever asked you, like, how did you come across me? Like, what kind of attracted you to me? And like, saying, hey, like, this guy Ernest is talking about ecom, like, this is what I want to do. Like, what was that differentiating factor for you to say, hey, I want to go all in with e-commerce versus like a lot of other stuff that you could do outside of, your current, income streams?
Um, I remember the part you said you had, I think it was 6 stores, and they all made 6 figures. And that right there was like, holy shit. I don't know if I can cuss on here, but
Nah, you're good.
um, uh,
Hopefully no kids in the background. If you got kids, tell them to put the earmuffs on.
yeah, I'm not gonna say nothing too bad. That's about the extent of it. But that's one of the main things that, and you had a 9 to 5 job. Uh, you did all of that. You were a normal guy that was doing this, and you had 6 stores that you ran that made 6 figures, all of them. So I was like, yes, that dude right there, he knows what he's talking about. Just you sounded like you knew what you were talking about. I mean, obviously I
Do I
didn't.
still know what I'm talking about, Emily?
Yeah, obviously.
All
um,
right, that's good.
I that was really one of the main factors is that and you were posting stuff like from your stores, like the sales that you made from your actual store, screenshots. I love stuff like that because that motivates me. I know some people try to Photoshop stuff like that, but
Yeah,
I
some people do it from like a manipulative standpoint, but like, with me, I kind of, I do it from the side of like you talked about. And I think you kind of got that feeling. Most people that follow me kind of feel that too as well. Like when I post a screenshot, one of the things I like to do is I always strive to like attach, some teachable aspect about it. But the other side too is for like inspiration. Now you personally have actually seen the behind the scenes of a store that I have that's actually doing over 7 figures, right? So obviously, without disclosing what that store is or what it sells, I've been able. You've kind of seen me, teach you strategies that you started to implement, and those start to get you results on your business too as well. Would you say that's pretty accurate?
yes, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So would you say like being in that type of experience, like, okay, I see this guy that's on the internet, like, he's making money. I'm going to get his course, I'm going to get into his high ticket, coaching program, and, being able to work with me from that hands-on experience. Would you say like that kind of helped you, not only just from like the peace of mind aspect, but that helped you like in your journey, being able to say, hey, this is what he says, but this not only just what he says, but this is also what he does. And he's actually showing me from one of his businesses.
yeah. That's 100% accurate. That's one way, like, that's kind of how I learn. Is if you can tell me stuff, but if you don't show me how to do it, then I sort of get lost.
Yeah.
That's one thing that helped me a lot, is having that one-on-one time with you, and then um, even other coaches that are in the group now. They are a tremendous help, and there's a lot of people in the group. that are amazing. I would not be where I am without all of you. There's no way. The coding stuff, getting the Gmail stuff figured out, getting everything connected to where it all works is one moving part. There's no way I would have been able to do that without, some guidance. Because, like I said, I started from scratch.
Absolutely. So let's fast track a little bit. So, all right, you're actually getting ready to launch your store. I think your store's been live for about two or 3 months or so now. Kind of walk people a little bit through like that journey. Like, was it like, hey, like I got this store up and like everything's amazing, things are awesome, or like, what did you run into in particular, in that like launch phase?
So when I launched the store, we turned the ads on and everything, and I started getting a little bit of traffic, and um, I think I turned ads on in March, I think,
Mhm.
and then in April, I think it was, I wrote it down, April 18th was my first sale. So that kind of shows you, um, it can be that long before you get a sale. Um, and
That's actually a sale happening right now, guys. Turn off your notifications, Emily. Nobody wants to hear your business booming.
I did have to turn that one off.
Nah, it's all good. Go ahead.
But
So okay, so you turned on ads and it took took about a month to get sales. So like obviously like you got sales coming in on a more consistent basis now. So just kind of like what was the reason that you think, why you weren't able to get a sale, why it took a month to get a sale versus like, how frequently that you get sales now, right? Like, you got sales coming in, some days like a couple at a time now. So like what is it now? Like what's the reason why you're converting?
traffic. That is the one thing. When you said last night, I want everybody to hear this. You need to focus on, obviously, you want to make sure you have a trustworthy site. That is a huge deal.
All right. So let's stop right there because I know there was some stuff we had to tweak. So that was step number one. You looked at your store and said, "Man, dude, like, is this a site that I would want to buy from my mom, my dad, my cousin, like a stranger." Like so you had to because I don't want you to skip over that because I felt like you were about to get to the next thing and I knew you were. So let's stop right there. So you looked at your site and you said, you know what, like I might need to tweak some stuff on the store because it might not be as credible to visitors when they come here. So like what were some of those things that you looked at and had to make some tweaks on in order to get people to feel more comfortable in your store?
So you need to have a phone number,
Now,
preferably.
do they need to be able to see the phone number? Is it just like, have it on the contact us page so they can't see it? Or is that something they visually need to see?
You need to have a phone number on your homepage. When somebody lands on your website, they need to see a huge phone number. That is one thing that people want to see. If they can't see that, or you have it hidden on you're at the bottom of your homepage, maybe in a hidden part of your contact us, or maybe it's not even on your contact us page. I've seen that before. I'm like, uh, how are people supposed to call you? That's huge for people, is having a phone number. Just, I mean, literally that one thing could, oh, well, they got a phone number. Why would they try to scam me if there's a phone number? So that is definitely number one, something you have to have, and it has to be plastered on your homepage as big,
Yeah, you don't want it to take up like the entire website, guys. So, because I know somebody listening to this is just like, I'm going to make my phone number my entire header, and I'm not going to have any navigation menus. I'm just going to have my phone number. Don't do that, okay? Like, you still want it to look aesthetically pleasing to the eye, but the main point, I know you're getting to, is that you want to have the phone number easily and readily available for people if they want to contact you. Now, that's not saying that every single person coming to your website, you're driving hundreds of visitors to your store, that everybody's going to want to contact you. But if you caught the nugget that she dropped, is that if they want to contact you, right, you want to give them the opportunity, if they need to contact you, to get in touch with you. Because I believe what's your average order value? We call that in e-commerce AOV. So what's your AOV, Emily?
Right now I think it's like 550 something.
Woo! You got a 500 AOV, 550 something. So let's just round it up to 600 because that sounds sexy. So you got a 550 average order value. That is out of control. Like, so talk to us about that. All right, so that was one of the things you did to build some trust. Like how the heck did you go through the process of like finding this niche with an AOV of $500? Like, because I know there's a lot of people, even in the group today, there was a bunch of people asking about, picking products and stuff like that. If you had to say you had to start from scratch to like pick a niche of products to sell online, what is some of the stuff that you would tell Emily? Be like, hey, I need to look out for this. Maybe like 2 or 3 things. Like, hey, this, and this is the reason why, I know the niche that I'm in is successful. Do you have some like wisdom regarding that to everyone that's listening to this right now about product selection and niche selection?
Yeah. So what I typically look for is when you need to go on Google PLA ads. That's the Google Shopping is where you're going to find all of that. You follow the instructions that are in the course, like to a T. That's what I had to do because I started from scratch. I didn't know anything, so I had to follow that criteria, and that is, there's no questions there. It's right there for you. And Ernest, he goes through everything on what you need, and what the typical thing I look for is, you don't want, if you click on a PLA or you're looking at a niche, and we'll take the one that you always do an example for, the electric fireplaces. You don't there's probably ads, I haven't looked at it recently, but you're probably going to see almost every Google PLA ad has like 25 stores plus that are trying to sell that. You don't want that. If you're seeing almost all the ads in the Google Shopping section that have 25 plus stores sell this, and then under it says 50 plus stores sell this, that's a huge red flag. That means that there's a lot of people that are, it's going to be very competitive. Yes, you can enter it at your own risk, but you will have a hard time unless you have a good bit amount of money to spend on ads and getting everything started for that. It's going to be hard to enter something like that. I tend to steer away from furniture. You'll see
Everybody wants to sell furniture.
do not sell furniture. If you can find something that meets the criteria, then great. Like if you can go down a rabbit hole that you have found somehow, and you've found like 3-legged chairs that
that are in demand, and there's like 20 suppliers that are making these chairs because they're so amazing,
then that's great. But you don't want everybody, you want it to be in demand, but you do not want it to be so much in demand that you can't enter the niche. You also want to look at the Google Trends. You don't want to solely rely on that, but you do want to see, is this a steady trend? Is it going up? If it's going up, then that's a really good sign. But you don't want it to be like really low. I can't remember. I think it's below 50. You don't want it to be like the little, see, I don't even know what that thing's called on the graph. You don't want that line to be below 50. You can do it below 50, but for it to be kind of consistent in demand, you want it to be 50 or above. I'm sure other people will disagree with that, but that's my take on it. And what else did I look for?
So make sure you're using Google Trends to identify the demand in the marketplace. Yeah. Make sure it's something that's, consistent, that is trending well and has been in the market for a consistent time. Because I know I had a buddy of mine who I actually used to be in a mastermind with, and he decided to go into, this was like 2 years ago, he decided to do hoverboards, and this was at the time like before they started catching on fire. Right. Oh. So whatever season that was, he started doing that. And, again, for me, as like, as I cover already, like in the material stuff, is like, I don't like, I don't ever want to sell something like that from an e-commerce perspective, because I have no idea how it could potentially be from a long term. And there were definitely tons of suppliers that were making them. Eventually, like what happened as far as like the quality, is everybody know, like there's a bunch of, Chinese manufacturers started ripping them off. And that's why they eventually started catching on fire. But, for me personally, I would have never sold that because the demand hadn't been consistent. Like it hadn't shown that it would be a winning niche in the market, for a consistent period of time. Right. So we got that. The other thing is competitive analysis. You talked about that earlier. So making sure that you're going into the shopping section, viewing your competitors, seeing how many people are, actively listing the product on the different listings, and, going through like the first few pages. You don't necessarily have to go through all 100 pages on Google, but you can start to get a feel for, how competitive a niche is going to be after you've gone through like, 4 or 5 pages. And so we got competitive analysis, Google Trends. And was there something else that you would say is something that you would say is good to look for this selection?
Your price point. You do not want to sell anything under $200. It's good if you can get it above 200. I try not to go below 200, but there is some stuff that is below 200, but it's complimentary stuff. It's okay if you see stuff. You don't want your whole niche to be based around something that's, below 200. But the main product on your store, you want it to be at a good price point. That's just because if you get a sale, you don't have to do as much. It makes sense. So if you're doing high ticket ecom, you have all these other people that do the AliExpress drop shipping stuff, making like $5 orders, but you have to get like 1,000 of those, and then you have to process all of that, which is, oh my God, my head would explode if I had to do that. But you only have to get, let's see, if you had a product that was $500, you only sell 2 of those, that's your $1,000 compared
to $1,000 for the day.
Yeah. Why would you not do that? You only have to worry about 2 orders, not 1,000. It just, that was just, that's another thing. That was common sense for me. It's just, that's one thing you definitely want to make sure that you are looking out for. Do not sell anything under $200. But I honestly, I would suggest selling at 500 or more. That's honestly that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, so you're like, hey, if I'm gonna put in the work, again, like you said, for yourself, like,
Yeah.
for ecom, like, if I'm gonna put in the work, it just makes so much more sense, like, to sell something for $500 versus, $5.
There's just there's no way I would do that. I mean, some people make it work, and they've been making it work. Good for them. They have people in place that take care of that. But if you're starting out like me and you don't have all of that stuff set up already, you don't have the money to do all of that. That's where you want to start with. Um, I did not have a lot of money to start all of this. That's one reason why I did this business model. Um, so even if you have debt, I had debt when I entered this course. I still have debt. I have a lot of debt. So it is possible to do all of that.
Got you. Now I know so we talked about earlier too, like, it took you about, a month to get that first sale. Do you remember how much traffic it was? Because I don't remember the exact amount, but it was so low.
It was it probably, I was not on a consistent basis. I was getting maybe 15 people a day. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
On a good day. On
It's
a
like 2 or 3 days you got 15, but like the other ones, it was like 5, 7,
Yeah,
maybe
literally.
8.
That's what it was. And I was like, okay, maybe did I do something wrong? Why is this so low?
Like, why is it taking so long for someone to buy something?
Yeah. But I did set my budget at $5 a day. So, because I knew I didn't have, you know, thousands of dollars to spend, not even 1,000 to spend on ads. So it's okay to start out like that. I was 100% terrified. Uh,
Yeah, I think Ozzy talked about that last night too.
I mean, it's a scary thing to go into all that, but you just have to do it.
Gotcha. So I know we're kind of hopping around a little bit. Like we went from like conversion rate optimization to like niche selection, and then we just talked about traffic. But let's go back to the conversion rate optimization, because we want to kind of dig into a little bit of like, how you took a store that you launched from like doing nothing to where it's just like, hey, maybe I picked the wrong niche or something like that, to now, it making, actually making money on a consistent basis. So you talked about obviously from a conversion rate optimization standpoint, you talked about, one of the things you did was, make it to where, people could easily and readily see your phone number. Were there any other things that you did at that point in time to, get your store to, be a little bit more trustworthy?
Yeah, so you need to have an email, obviously, but you do not want it to be, electric fireplaces at gmail.com. Uh, don't do that. I mean, you could do that, but it's not, it doesn't look professional. Um, I have seen some businesses that do that, but it's way more professional to have, your niche and then whatever website you picked.
Yeah, so like info at, electricfireplacedirect.com, or Earnest at electricfireplaces.com. So you're talking about having like a custom email domain. So having that custom email domain, having a business phone number, and were those things that you made, easily for people to be able to view? Because I think, the biggest disconnect a lot of people forget too as well, with high ticket ecom in particular, is the fact that, we are, our goal is to get someone to give us like hundreds of thousands of dollars without, potentially having to talk to us, but definitely without seeing us, right? So it's kind of like, am I like, and I've never even thought about it to this moment. It's like kind of like a mutual of exchange of like, hey, let me show you more credibility so I can get you to pull out your credit card, right? So it's like an exchange of credit. That's kind of cool. I'm gonna have to make that a quotable.
I like
But
that.
Okay, so was there anything from a structure wise like you did in your store? Like, did you have like a limited amount of images and uploaded more images? Like, did you create like buying guides? Were there anything of that nature that you did? Was that something that you had already done? And you just needed to figure out some other things to get people to feel comfortable.
So I also have a couple of other things. The images, you definitely want good images. Uh, don't slap up some blurry images that people can't see. They're not HD, and you only have one.
Now, did you ever have a supplier that gave you bad images and you had to ask them for better images?
Oh yeah, I've gotten
Oh,
some.
well, I didn't even know that. Okay.
I've
So
gotten some.
you said, yo, Alex, bro, like these images are terrible. Like nobody's gonna buy nothing with these images. You're gonna need to give me some better images.
Well, they won't necessarily, if it's a lot of products that you need the images for, they won't necessarily give you all of those, because then
Yeah.
that would mean more work for them, and they're not going to do that. Some of them might, but what I do is I ask permission first, but I will ask if I can go find better images, because you are an authorized dealer of, you know, whatever brand you're selling, or brands. um, you can go to um, different websites and get better images. Because I know some of my manufacturers, they have their own images, they have their own website. So you can go on there. Sometimes they'll have better images on their website than what they give you, which is weird. But you do have to. You should watch for that if you're looking to find better images. That's one thing you can. That's one way you can go find better images, is see if your supplier has a website. Um,
Yeah. So you're saying like you actually have open communication and dialogue with your account managers.
oh yeah, you.
I think you kind of broke up there.
No. Uh oh.
It's all good. You're back. So you said the last question was you actually have open dialogue like with your account managers. And also the second part to that question that I would ask is that would you say that's also one of the things you may feel like has helped you with your success, like with your stores, being able to have that good relationship with your account managers?
Yeah, 100%. Uh, you have to be able, like Ozzy said, they are normal people. Once you get that through your head, once you get, your first supplier under your belt and you call them and you get your nerves out, it's fine after that. You can. I don't get nervous anymore when I'm calling a supplier. I just call them up, and honestly, I've only gotten maybe two or three no's. And I have 15, no, I have like, it's either 15 or 18 suppliers.
Dang.
Yeah. So,
You got like 18 suppliers. So like Miss, I don't know anything about how to make money on the internet. I just know how to work an email. Like you've never had a business, like never set up an autoresponder, never built a website, and you went from like building a site, contacting suppliers, like not knowing what to say, but following the course in the program, and you got 18 suppliers now.
yeah. Um,
Boss status.
yeah.
So let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about like how the heck do you have like 18 suppliers for one business? Like, how are you able to convince all these companies that never heard of you before? You have absolutely no experience, never ran an ad. Like, did you like trick them? Did you you know, like how the heck did you get these people to do business with you? How did that work?
I thought that's pretty much what, so, um, I took, I, I got it from another guy in the group that But I did print out your script. So when I didn't have his, like, it's basically the same thing. But I honestly, I really didn't have to use it too much. But you do want to have it handy just in, but you tell them, like, talk to an account manager or a sales representative about becoming an authorized dealer of your products. And usually, I mean, it might have just been my niche, but I got pushed through to whoever that, and you just talk to them like they're a normal person.
Gotcha. So hold on for a second, because you were kind of breaking up a little bit. I know people watching is probably like, man, what is she saying? I want the juicy stuff. So I'm gonna kind of recap in my mind a little bit about what I had, and if anything is off, just kind of correct me. So you said obviously you picked up the phone and you just called the companies that you did research on that made the products in particularly like in your niche. And before you even called, it sounds like you did a little bit of research. You took the actual, script and content and material that we have in the program and kind of refreshed yourself with, like, how to kind of carry yourself. Found another student that was in our program and said, hey, his script might be a little bit sexier than Ernest's script. Hey, don't hurt my feelings. We all winning, right? So you take his script, took everything that I had and kind of merged, like, a conversation piece for yourself that you felt comfortable with, right? And then you called, and as soon as you called, you said, hey, I'm Emily from so and so, and I'm looking to become an authorized dealer for your brand. Can you let me know who to speak to?
Yeah,
Essentially, like that was the secret.
that's the secret, guys.
All right, guys, I'm gonna have to cut that part out because Emily's giving away the secret to get 18 suppliers. We're gonna have to chop that part out on the replay. I'm sorry if you're watching the replay. I'm gonna take that part out.
Yeah, I mean, even though there were some suppliers that had, went on their site and it said, if you want to become a dealer, click here and email us. I didn't do that. I
So you
called.
didn't try to shortcut the shortcut.
No.
So you seen, even though, and this is the thing, man, because I'm not sure if you've seen it. Actually, I think you responded to Emily. Someone posted in the Built to Sell community, the private Facebook group, and they said, man, I sent 20 applications by email. As soon as I seen it, I already knew what time it was.
Yeah, no.
And so and everybody responded like, call, like, what are you doing? Just call them. So so so
Yeah.
you decided to call even though they had applications that you could fill out. Now, what prompted you to do that? Obviously, I kind of understand a little bit, but, like, let everybody know, what's the importance of calling versus emailing from your perspective.
Um, I kind of go off of what you said last night. These are companies, these are huge companies. Some of them are ginormous. They make millions of dollars. They are not going to answer your specific email. They probably get a lot of those a day. So you have to make yourself stand out. They want to know that you're serious. So they could just be looking for somebody that is calling. That right off the bat separates you from 50 other people that they got an email from today. This one called. They sound serious and they want to know how to set up a dropship account. Okay. Then they send you the information and then you fill it out. But you need to make sure you fill that out as quickly as possible, because if you can get it and fire it back to them, there's another trick to, separating yourself from everybody else.
Emily, I can't have you giving out all my juice tonight, okay? Like, we got to get people that actually sign up to learn about how to get approved with suppliers. Emily's just giving it all out tonight.
I mean, this is all stuff that, it came straight from Ernest's mouth. Like, you just have to take all of his information and put it into action. If you don't do that, you will not get the results.
Yeah, I've never even asked you about how many suppliers. Like, this is the first I've ever known. Like, shoot, it took me over a year to get approved with like 18 suppliers. I wasn't even that proactive as you were. So that's out of control.
I mean, if I'm going to do something, especially to this extent, to go and get an LLC and get everything, a legit business, I'm going to go all out on it. And another thing is you want to have a good amount of products on your store. If you have 12 products on your store, that's another red flag that might, deter somebody from your website.
So you want to have a good, like, functional, like fully robust, like looking website. Like, the exact verbiage I like to use is like, you want to look as though you're live. Like, you want to make your business look as if it's like, hey, like, we can probably make money working with these guys. Right. And that's essentially like, what you were kind of getting to. So that's cool. We're actually going to take a little side question real quick, because I like this question because we're in the topic right now. Someone said, how did you find your suppliers? Like, how did that happen?
Okay. So what I did was I typed in I first, when I didn't know, a little bit more tips and tricks on how to find suppliers, starting out from scratch, I was typing in my niche keyword, and I would look on the Google search text ads, and just see what popped up. I would also go on competitors' websites. That is a huge, probably everybody does that. You go on a competitor's website because you have to know who your competitors are to see how much competition you're going up against. You go on there and see what they're selling. If you see that if you know that they are an online retail store, then you know that they're drop shipping. So that's where I got a lot of my suppliers from, is just looking on different websites, different online retail stores, some of my competition.
So were you able to build a better list based off of what you found in like the Google search results when you put in, like, let's just again use like electric fireplaces. So you put in like electric fireplaces, like suppliers, like, and you just looked, and were you able to build a list from that, or did your list come from like going out and actually like researching your competition and then like seeing the brands that they had listed and then putting together a constructive list of their products or brands that they had on their stores? Like, which one got better results?
The researching competitors.
Gotcha. So that's where you found a lot of the gems from. Now, even like, because I know like you probably did a little bit of work outside of that. So like your best the best thing that yielded results was like researching your competitors and extracting the brands off their website. And was it like, one competitor, two competitors? Like, you said, hey, I'm good, I got all the suppliers available in the entire marketplace? Or did you research like multiple websites?
Yeah, I definitely researched a lot of websites. Even if they look shoddy, I just wanted to see what they were selling. And I wanted to see if it was something that, fit my criteria for my store. If I felt like it was good, and the price point was good. I mean, they had good photos, because I know if they got good photos, I can get good
Gotcha.
I don't necessarily have to take their photos, because some people do their own customization work on their photos. But I know that if they got a photo that they could customize, then I could get a photo. So that's definitely that's a big way of getting that.
Gotcha. Now, would you say that with the suppliers that you actually got approved with, were these a lot of companies that, if you were to go to their websites, like they had their hands up saying, hey, we drop ship, or like, how was it that you knew when you made that phone call that you could possibly like set up a drop ship account?
So I followed what you taught in the group in the course. And I think I also had a call with you about that, because there are some things you need to look for on, how to find out if a company is drop ships their products. If you go on there, either their about us page or their contact us page, and you see if some of them say, we're on an online retail store. Some of them say that. Boom, right there. So if you see that, there you go.
So if you're looking up like competitors and stuff and they say, hey, we only sell online, that's possibly an indication that all the brands that they have drop ship.
yes, that's
Gotcha.
one big indicator. Some of them say that. Some of them are very, very tricky. Uh, you can take their address that they have. Um, a little side tip, you need to have an address. Uh, Definitely need to have an address to make it more trustworthy. But you can take the address that they have listed on their contact us, put it in Google, and see what it pops up. If it pops up some sort of, subway, then that's probably it will point you into the direction that they might be drop shipping. You need to look further into their website. That's one thing that I always started out with, is I would take their address and see if they had, like, if it pops up this huge store that says, electric fireplaces warehouse, then yeah, they have a warehouse and a store, and you need to not worry about that one. But some people will say that they have a warehouse, but they don't. Um, I think that's another thing that I was doing with the addresses, is if they said they had a warehouse and they listed the address for it, I would take it, put it into Google, and see what it popped up. If I thought it was sketchy, then that's where I would dig further. I also, what else did I do?
All right, Emily, you're giving away way too much juice right now, because I don't even talk about that stuff like publicly. We're gonna have to chop that part out too. So nah, it's all good. It's all good, man. People are learning some good stuff. Hopefully, you guys watching this, I would possibly go back and rewatch what she just talked about, write it down, and possibly put that into action, because that's some good juice right there. So yeah, let's go and fast forward. So man, we've been talking about niche selection, supplier approval, building trust in your website to improve your conversion rate. So let's talk about like traffic now, right? Let's like, obviously traffic was like one of the biggest reasons why, like, you didn't hit out the gates as strong as you could now. So, what's the visitor count look like now? How much traffic are you driving? What type of campaigns are you utilizing to drive traffic? What does that look like now in Emily's world?
Okay, so daily now I have I'm upped my budget to $40 a day, and I'm getting roughly it can range from like 70 to 100 a day.
Wow. So now you're driving as much traffic in a day as what you used to drive in like a month.
Yeah, that is literally the difference. So I'm trying to get on your level.
Yeah, no, I'm putting together a game plan to get to like 2,000 people a day on like my main store. It's out of control. Yeah, if I do that, that'll put me at like almost like 300,000 a month. So yeah, definitely looking forward to making that happen. But you're following like the process, like it's like creating some ROI, reinvesting it back into the business and, you know, increasing your budget. Cause like even you went from like $5 to $40 now. Like that's a huge increase. That's like, you know, I don't even know what that is. That's like 5,000% increase in budget.
You definitely want to take that money that you're making um, from that and reinvest it. That's one thing that has helped me a lot to be able to. I mean, obviously, I use my money from my other job, like my full time job, but it's helped having the extra money um, from the sales that I've already made.
Absolutely. So reinvesting that back into the business.
Yeah,
That's
you
good. That's good.
especially when you're starting out. That's a lifesaver.
Yes, indeed. So, no, that's great. So, you know, if you could just go back to like the Emily in the beginning of her journey and go back and talk to her, and it's like, hey, girl, you about to start this econ business, and I've already been a few months ahead of you, right? What is something that you would probably say to yourself then getting started, versus like, you know, where you're at now, you know, with the amount of visitors and sales that are coming through on a regular basis? Like what would you tell that Emily?
Um, I would probably tell her not to freak out as much.
Now before we progress with that, like is there like what's the reason did that like did you get to a point when like you freaked out like that there was like periods of like inactivity or just kind of felt overwhelmed, really didn't do much, like what did the freaking out actually do, kind of from like a work ethic standpoint?
Um, you can. There's lots of things that can happen in your head throughout this process. You can get what Ozzy was talking about, the analysis. That's a real thing. uh, just you have to keep moving forward through everything. Don't get stuck on one thing. If you're stuck, you need to ask some questions. You need to go to somebody, a coach, somebody in the group, post it in the group, ask a question. There's no reason for you to sit there for weeks on end stuck on one thing. That's terrible. And that's one thing I would tell myself is I was that person that was stuck on things for weeks at a time because I was trying to figure it out on my own when I could have just asked somebody else and get it, answered right away. So that's definitely one thing I would tell myself. Um, Another
Don't freak
thing,
out, take
yeah,
action, stuff's gonna happen,
yeah.
just figure it out.
There's always somebody that's been and know. That's how I've gotten through so far.
Gotcha. And what was the other thing that you were going to mention too?
Um, just I guess it really all boils down to not freaking out. See, this is where I can talk to the men. Don't tend to freak out as much as women, obviously because we're more emotional. But um, you need to just take a breather and even if you have to take a day off or something from all of this, do not get overwhelmed. You take it one video at a time. It is a lot of information, but if you take it one day at a time, all that's going to you know snowball, and sooner or later your store is going to be up. You're going to be making sales and everything's going to be okay.
Gotcha. And another thing I wanted to ask too. So, like, obviously, you got some pretty good experience, like dealing with, real like U.S. suppliers, like big brands, big companies. What type of margins do you got? Like, do you see like dealing with companies and stuff from like in the whole drop shipping high ticket world? Like, what could someone expect to see? From your personal experience.
I only have one store that is a 10% margin. The rest of them are 15 and above. Most of them are 25 to 30% margins.
So you're talking about the suppliers, not the actual like store itself, you mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got one supplier that gave you like 10%. They're just like, hey, yeah, we'll sign you up. Like we'll start you off at 10%. We got some strategies and things that we can do. I can help you get that up. But you got like one that's at 10%. You got a few that are at 15, but most of them you said are between, you said 25 to 30 or 30. What was it? 25 to 30?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that
So
what you were asking?
yeah. I was asking about the margin because I know some people are sitting there like, oh, because everyone wants to know like, what the margins are that they can see, like, and obviously I answer the question like all the time. I tell people typically on average you're gonna see about 20 to 30%. So your average is roughly like 20 to 30%, again, based off of what we just talked about. Like you got one that's at 10, a couple that's at 15, and then majority are between 25 to 30, which is, pretty solid. So, again, that's roughly, if you were to probably mix all those up, about 20 to 30%.
Yeah, I would say an average is 20 to 30%. So, I mean, that's 100% accurate. What he says is, I mean, that's really what I have. Most everybody I've talked to has that or better, really.
Yep. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get to some of the Q&A. I know we're at the top of the hour, but I think, Emily, are you okay to kind of hang out for a few more minutes so we can get to some other questions that came through?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to scroll back up because I know we have some questions come in early on. I know Facebook, when we do these lives, they kind of mix them up a little bit, but I want to see if I can start at the top here. And if you guys got questions, go ahead and start putting them in so we can get those answered too as well. And Darren Smith said, where's your course, Ernest? Let me know how to sign up. We'll get that over to you, Darren. No worries about that, sir. Someone said, Lorinda said, wow, 18 suppliers. Kevin said 18 is huge. Good job, Emily. Someone said Emily is like a boss.
It's so weird to hear that. I never thought I would be right here. So it's really cool to hear stuff like that.
Yeah, people are like, just, loving you, girl, because you just, put in the work, making things happen. And now you're being able to share your journey and, giving out a lot of my secrets today, right? But it's all good. It's all good.
I
So
want to say, even there's two things I want to say before I forget, and it might help somebody. Actually, three. The one thing about the grasshopper number, I definitely wanted to get on here because it really could jack somebody up for a really long time. I think that's when I first my I but
you kind of broke up a little bit there. You said when you first launched your store, what was it?
can you hear me a little bit better?
Yeah, you're better.
Okay. So when I first launched my store, I had the grasshopper number and I made sure that it worked and everything. But what I don't know what happened, and this could possibly happen to somebody. You need to make sure you need to, I guess, keep an eye on your number. You need to constantly either have a family member or a friend call it for you and check to make sure that everything's working properly. Because what mine was doing was it would allow somebody to call and it would sound, it had my greeting, but when somebody went to click one of the
options.
yeah, one of the options, it said this option's not available and it would hang up the phone.
So people were trying to reach you, but they were getting hung up on.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's one reason why my first sale was absolutely horrendous.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's one thing people need to.
And I think that's applicable to really like everything in ecom. Like, there's a lot of moving pieces, and it's like it's cool because like, obviously with everything that you got to get set up, it is, some work to do. But I always tell people if you do it right and you only have to really do it once and you don't have to do it again. You just want to be able to check up on things, because even myself included, like I've had phone numbers on stores. Actually, I had one that went inactive. I didn't even know it. It was like inactive for like a month. I didn't even realize the number was inactive, and so then I had to get a new number and change it on the site and change it on all my email responses and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's totally applicable to every part. Like even when you're getting ready to launch, we had someone that was in the group that launched their store. They were paying for traffic, and they weren't getting any conversions, and they sent me the link to their store. I just walked through the checkout process and found out that his checkout was disconnected. So he's like, I got people adding the cart, but nobody's buying. And it was as simple as making sure that his payment method was set up. So that's a great nugget of wisdom with everything e-commerce related. So let me scroll back up here and get to some of these questions. So this is a great question, Emily. Someone said, will this work for a non-US resident? So Emily, do you know anybody outside the US that has built a high ticket ecom business that that this can work? So can this work for people outside the US?
Yes, I do know several people that they're ginormous, and they live outside of the US. You just have to make sure that you set everything up correctly, because you're outside of the US. But you need to have everything set up to where you're a legit business that can sell US product. Like you can sell in the US, but you live outside of the US.
Absolutely. So you just want to make sure like your business and stuff is actually set up here, because what's going to happen is if you're actually looking to work with real suppliers, like I highly advise to do, one of the things they're going to do is they're going to check to see if you're actually like a real company. So yep. So yeah, I just had to answer that because I know you knew a few folks that were outside the US rocking things out here. So next question is, how do you tell who a supplier is by looking at their website? We kind of covered that earlier, so I don't want to eat up Emily's time for that. Dean said, where do I sign up? We'll chat with you later, Dean, about that. Kelly said, I watch so many videos because I get so nervous about copywriting laws and being sued. So what do you have to say about that, Emily? Like, what about the and when she means copywriting, because I don't even, because again, you're still like new, right? Like she might not really, she means like, so the product descriptions, like where the heck do you get the product descriptions for? And like, do you have to be worried about getting sued for something that you put in your product description?
Okay, so with that, you're not going to get sued. You're an authorized dealer. What I do is I will get an email confirmation just to be on top of shit, and I'll say, are we allowed to take your photos? Your product descriptions, and any other information that you have, videos, stuff like that, because some suppliers have videos, and you definitely want to use those. But I'll ask them if I have permission to use all of that, and they all say yes.
So you actually double confirm. That's actually something different. You're the first person I talked to that does that. I don't even do that. Um, so like once you actually get, because the other thing too is like we have like, and that's the cool thing, like when you're working with like real brands, real legit suppliers. So like, even if we kind of fast forward to like some issues, like, you're not even having, Emily, but some other people I know in the e-commerce industry run into, and some people have anxiety a little bit about, is like, well, what if my merchant processor gets shut down? Like, what if I have an issue and Shopify wants to like, tell me I can't use their site builder, things like that. What if a customer, buys a product and something's wrong with it? Well, the thing is that you'll have an actual, they're actually called a fulfillment agreement. So the agreement that you sign with the brand that you're working with to represent in the marketplace and to sell their products, that paperwork that you fill out when you first sign is it's called a fulfillment contract, and it's a binding agreement between you and the supplier to say you're, number one, authorized to resell the product. Number two, that they're going to handle the fulfillment for the products when you actually purchase them, right? So you don't have to be overly concerned about copywriting laws or actually knowing anything about the product. And this is so cool because my VA today, she closed, it's like $4,200 in sales today. 3,000 of it came from live chat, right? And like this is somebody that knows nothing about my products. Like, I don't even know anything about the products. It's so funny because she like messaged me about stuff. I'm like, I don't know. Go talk to Steve. He's our account manager, for one of our accounts. And I'm like, don't ask me. Like, I don't know. I don't even know why she keeps asking me questions. Because I always tell her to just go talk to the account manager, like look it up on the website. And like you don't have to know anything about the products. And I know that's another thing about anxiety that people have, like with niche selection, we didn't even talk about today, is that you don't have to know anything about the products. I know with you, like 18 brands, like, hundreds of thousands of SKUs, like you probably don't know like every single nitty gritty, like fine comb tooth, like, hey, this material was sourced from like, China, and this one came from Thailand, and this one came from like Idaho, because there are people that care about that stuff. But, again, it's so easy for us, especially from an e-commerce perspective, because we can look it up on the product page and we can look at it in the sometimes they'll have it in like the instruction manual, the brochures, and then worst case scenario, guess what? We have a direct account manager that we can talk to for the supplier that will actually respond to us to help us get an answer. So yeah, Kelly, don't feel overwhelmed about any of that stuff. You are a-okay.
Yeah.
A-okay.
I would just, I mean, basically, you're an authorized dealer, so you have authorization to use all of their information because they want you to represent them. So
Awesome sauce. Hey, Emily, that was a really amazing post. Someone said, Emily, this is actually from Darren. He said, this live feed has given me fire again to try ecom. I really need this.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm having to I have to pay somebody to work for me because I'm a contract worker through the post office, but I'm gonna have to have her start taking my Mondays because that's usually when I get most of my calls. Mondays.
I don't know why that is too, Emily. Like, I feel like everybody just gets to the weekend and they just want to like call and spend money on Mondays. Like everyone talks about how miserable Mondays are. Mondays is usually a really good sales day for me.
um, I have a love-hate relationship with Mondays because Mondays are the worst at my job, but
Yeah.
so it really puts me behind. And just to show you, like, you can do this with a job, I take my laptop to work with me. While I'm delivering mail, if I get somebody that calls me, I will answer the phone. I'll pull off to the side of the road, pop up my laptop, turn my mobile hotspot on, and there's my office.
Yeah, so that's funny that you just asked that question because Felicia said, how do you handle phone calls with your ecom business without a VA? Obviously a lot of people forget I never had like VAs working for me for a while, but I'm way out of place for that. But you're right there right now. So like, how do you handle phone calls? Like, do you still freak out if you miss a phone call? Like, how do you handle that?
um, I don't freak out anymore if I miss a phone call. I usually don't miss a phone call, but even if I do, you kind of have to put that in the back of your head. If this person really wants to contact you and has a serious question, they're either going to leave a voicemail or they're going to call back again. I did miss a phone call. I think it was a couple weeks ago. I did miss a phone call, and probably like 20 minutes later, the guy called back and I was able to answer it, but I was on my way home from work. So I had to pull off into a parking lot but I closed the sale right there. Cause we did the order over the phone. And
Oh, and it's some people that's like that, right? Like there's some people that only want to do phone orders. Like in most cases, like with high ticket econ, with our demographic of people, like we're strategically targeting people like upper middle class that are actively like looking for the product. And again, some of those people traditionally, like that's just how they grew up. They're just like, hey, I only like to do phone orders. And for me, like I can't understand. Like I even had some people tell me they trust me taking their card information over the phone and actually putting it into the computer when I'm like, the joker that's on the other side of the phone could actually be the scam artist. But I don't get it, man. But
I got a sale today that was over the phone. The guy really, I mean, I picked up the phone and he literally just wanted me to take his order over the phone. So that's a huge deal.
so
That's
you
what
didn't
I
even like so like these phone calls, Emily, like are you having to be like a master salesman? So let's talk about that real quick because I get this question sometimes too. What if someone calls me, dude? Like I don't have any sales background. Like I've never worked as a telemarketer. Like I don't think you have any of that experience yourself. So
know.
like how did these phone calls go? Like what's happening? Like did my man just call you today? It was just like, hey Emily, or not, obviously he ain't know your name, right? But did he just call your store and just say, hey, I just want to put in my order, or hey, I got a couple questions, now place my order? Like, and how do those phone calls typically go? So let's walk through like today's phone call and let's walk through like how it normally goes.
So when somebody calls me, I pick up the phone and, I tell them my name and you say something like professional, like, how can I help you today? You say,
So
like,
you ain't got to be creative. You just say, hey, how can I help you today?
it's really like if you've ever worked in any, even if you haven't,
Like, have you ever been to a grocery store in your life?
yeah,
What do they say when you get to the register? Hi.
um, I mean, it's really, really
I
simple.
know you're trying to figure out a way to like try to make this complicated. Like, oh, it's this secret strategy of like closing phone sales with ecom. Like, guys, but the way we target, like with your advertising campaigns, when you got people that again they cognitively like took out their cell phone, they went to their computer and they typed, "I'm looking for an Amonte 60-inch fireplace," and it pulls up that it's $2,000, and they actually click on that. Like that's somebody again, they know like the brand they want, they know the type they want, they know what the product is that they want, and they get to your website. You're not convincing them now to get the product, right? And then if you did like what Emily talked about earlier, and you follow what she talked about with building trust and getting people to feel comfortable in your website, like now you don't even have to convince people to trust you. It's just a matter of like, do they want to get the product from you, right? And so again, just by having that one element, that Emily is leveraging, um, you know, in a major way with having a phone number and just being present to be able to take the calls or even just calling people back, right? Will put you in a position to be able to get people to convert, especially with phone calls. Like, you should have like 80-90% of people, 70-60% on the low end of like phone calls closed when people call you.
Yeah. I think I've only had maybe two people, maybe not even that. It might have been just like, I've had about two people that did not order. They just wanted to know. I'm pretty sure that they were competitors just asking. You will have that. Be aware of that. If you think it's a competitor, just treat it like it's, another customer, because the one that I thought was a competitor, he ordered. And I was like, well, dang, I was totally off on that.
Oh man, that so happened to me today. Like there was this guy, he was actually hitting on my VA. Like he was like macking on her, and he was just like saying like weird stuff, like you wouldn't think like people would say. And this was a live chat conversation. And then I actually, because she reached out to me, and I was just like, well, just tell him to leave us alone. And like, and then she's like, but I don't know, I think he might be a real person. And so when she started like actually like, hey, I'm just gonna have to go because I have other people to talk to. That's when he like got his act together and was just like, oh, well, I'm actually really looking into this product. And then she upsold him like another $400 for another product that I gave him like a $10 discount on. And so he
Damn.
ended up buying like two products for like $1,800. Like this literally happened today, right? So yeah, you'll have people that you might even be like, man, this might be a competitor. Like I don't know. Like let me answer that question, and then they're actually people. But that's crazy. You said you only got like two or three people that actually like didn't purchase that were calls. Like that's amazing. And see, that's the power of like high ticket ecom and driving qualified traffic to your website, and making sure that you follow the principles like Emily talked about with having a good website that's trustworthy. We can get people to buy.
Yeah, I also wanted to I had another guy that he literally just picked up the phone and called me and asked, "So, is there how much extra is the tax and shipping going to be?" And I told him, "Well, it's free shipping, and because everything's free." And I said, "There's going to be if you're not located in South Carolina or wherever your home state is, wherever your business is located at, then it's going to be no tax. It'll be tax free." And I told him that we could either take the order over the phone or he could do it online. It will, it's pretty easy to do it online. He was like, "Oh, okay." I just wanted to check and make sure that, I wasn't going to get charged extra shipping or tax. I said, "No, what the price that you see on the screen is what the price is. It's not going to change." And soon as I got off the phone with him, not 5 minutes later, my little bag popped up. I'm looking for that bag. I said, "Yes, the shopping bag."
Awesome. That's good stuff. Yeah. This is awesome that we got a chance to kind of talk about this, because that was another thing I wanted to talk about. It's just that I know that you do a spectacular job with your customer service. And I think that like really shines through with everything that you have for like your econ business. Like you genuinely care about like, the niche that you're in. And then also, especially like with your customers, like when you probably get an email, like even like you said, talking to your suppliers, like you can tell like, you're really treating this business like a business and not like a hobby. And, it's paying you like a business. Right. And it's just going to, continue to grow and progress because like, you care about every component and facet of the business and treat it like it actually is.
Right. And that, that's super important. You kind of got to put your big girl hat on, your big girl. And I mean, there is a certain level of professionalism that you have to put off, but also at the same time, you don't want to sound like a robot. Because some people don't like that. It's okay to sound like a robot in some situations, but talking to suppliers is you don't have to sound like a robot in that aspect.
Absolutely. Yep. And one of the things I know I like to mention too, like, and I don't think I do it enough, is like my goal of providing people with like, quote unquote, like scripts, like, right, is like, I don't necessarily look at it as in my perspective. And maybe when I go back and redo the content, I might add this in there, like in the beginning, before people even get into the modules, is that, you need to treat it as a conversation piece. Right. And there's just certain things and components, like, now if I get into like, because I actually worked in like the telemarketing industry too, so I actually understand how that is. And like that was one thing I always kind of broke my team out of, is that don't necessarily be so scripted. Like you want to have like triggers, is what I used to refer to them as, is like just a certain things that you want to get across to make sure that you show that you're a legitimized person to do business with, right? And so for me, like those triggers are, if I'm a brand new store, that letting the supplier know that I just recently launched a business, because I don't want them thinking like they go to my website and I've been in business for like 20 years, because that's obviously a lie. And so when you fill out your application, they're going to know because they can look you up. So that's not good. There's other ways to like look your business details up too. So like you don't want to lie. So I like to get that out there straightforward. The other thing is that I want to be able, I'm looking to expand my product catalog, right? I don't want them thinking that, I'm just giving you a call to just say, hey, we're actively looking to expand our product catalog, expand our business. The other thing too is that, I want to be able to prepay all of my orders. Like I want to set up a dropship account. I don't want to do payment terms, because payment terms is actually a lot more that they would actually look into. They would do a business background check and credit check. I don't want to get into like all the details of what payment terms are. Just know that you probably are not going to be qualified to do it. Not saying if you listen to this that you that you're a bad person. You're just probably not going to be qualified. So like, those are some of the main triggers and points that I like to get across. And I know you mentioned a couple of yours earlier. And we don't want to keep giving out all the secret sauce to to supplier approval. So
Yeah.
let's get back to some more questions. I know we had a couple other ones come through here. Someone said Emily is an ecom rock star. I think Emily appreciates that.
I do. Thank you. It's been a hard journey so far, but it's well worth it. Just another thing that Jeremy reiterated this a lot, and he always says, just think you're having to do all of this work, but is somebody else is going to have to do the same amount of work to get to where you are. So you also have to keep that in your head. A lot of people are not going to want to do this business model because of how much work you have to put into it. It's not a huge amount of work, but it just takes some time. And a lot of people aren't going to want to do that.
Yeah, and the thing is too, guys, like if you're listening to this right now, you're on here live with this, a lot of people, I know you guys are in the mindset of a lot of these, I hate using the term, like I'm not even going to say it because I just said I hate saying it and then I'm going to say it, so I'm not even going to say it. But you see a lot of content that's out there where people say like, hey, you can get started in 3 days, you can get started in a week, have a store up, making money, do $100,000 your first month. And if you want to chase that strategy with ecom, which there's some people that I don't even really think that there's a really small window of people that I can actually do that at a high level. And I know because I'm around these people around the globe and in these private sessions and rooms and stuff with these people that you guys see on different ads and on YouTube and stuff. But definitely and particularly with high ticket ecom, like if anyone tells you like you're going to get started and you'll have your store up in a week, that is going to be extremely not accurate. And I've never presented it high ticket ecom in that perspective, because there are a couple different pieces that you need to have in place. Like Emily already discussed, like you want to make sure that you have a real business registered. You don't necessarily have to choose any exact entity, but you do want to have something like within your state or within the country that you're looking to do business at, whatever like regulations it is like in that particular country, like whether you're in Australia, Canada, Germany, whatever. Like you want to make sure that you do that. Like you want to make sure that you actually have like a website that suppliers could actually see. Obviously you got to call suppliers, then you got to upload products, and then you got to do some a little bit of technical stuff like Emily talked about earlier. So like, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more commitment. But like, think about the separation factor from you versus everybody else in ecom. Like, you guys see everybody and their grandmama drop shipping from AliExpress, China, overseas, putting up these websites. Yes, there's people making money at it, but like, really think like, how long is that really going to last? Versus like, we're setting ourselves up for long-term success. People that I work with personally, like Emily, she's seen a store that I've had for the last like 3 years, like since I've been in e-commerce, that year over year just makes more and more money, from like 200,000 to $500,000 to like 1.1 million. Just year after year, it just keeps growing and growing and growing, because we're put in a position to like work with real credible brands, real suppliers, like companies that just aren't going to do business with anyone and everyone. So like, that's one of the cool separating factors, with you versus like everybody else in the marketplace, right? So I don't know why I had to talk about that so long, Emily. It was on my heart. I just had to get it off. So
for somebody that's starting out, I think it's important for them to hear that, because
yeah.
that's what I needed to hear.
Yep. So someone said, what would be considered like baseline operating capital? So like if someone was starting like fresh, from scratch, like, what would you say, to get things up and going, that they'd want to have from an operating side of things?
Um,
It doesn't have to be anything exact, just like what would you say is like, hey, this is a good number to set off to the side to get things launched?
maybe 500, and that's like pushing it. Like, that's the high on the high end. Is That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe 500.
And that's to have some money for like ads, registering a business, Shopify, getting a phone number, business email, like, all the tools in the shed to like get. Yeah, that's roughly like, what I conservatively kind of tell people. Actually, I gave someone the exact numbers because I actually did research not too long ago. So if anybody wants to know those exact numbers, I'll have them up somewhere here publicly. But like me personally, like, because again, for me, like I just registered a DBA in my state. I'm not going to go into all the details exactly what that was, but just know it cost me $12 to start a business. So I start actually $12.50. I got to give the 50 cents. And if you think I'm lying, like you can actually go to the state of Virginia and research how much does it really cost. And it's based off of the county, and that number is accurate. So it's $12.50. And then I was able to get it launched like within a few weeks, like just under a month. So I had the the $29 Shopify fee, but I got my first sale before the first fee hit. So I didn't even necessarily have to pay like the $29 for the Shopify fee. And then I use that Google Ads credit that they give you, like that $100 to get started. And there's actually a way for you to be able to get like up to $200 in advertising credits to actually run ads. So when Emily says like $500, don't think like, oh my God, there's no way I can, start a super successful business with just $500. If you're new to the whole concept of e-commerce too as well, just know like, yes, that is extremely accurate. Like you don't need because again, like you might be somebody that's like, for example, the gentleman we had on last night, Ozzy, like his background was in, finance, where like mentally he's used to like, and he actually is the person in the bank, like saying, hey, like you're not going to make any money for the next 5 years. We're going to give you this $300,000. We just know that you're not going to say anything back for 5 years. Are you sure you can afford to do this? Right. So like in a traditional standpoint, like, yes, that sounds crazy. Right. But yes, it is totally possible to just have a few $100 and to make this thing happen. So that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked that. Somebody said my DBA was $20. So see, Ernest isn't just making stuff up. There's another good question. Oh, I remember what it is. Kind of hard to get to. We got a lot of questions coming in. Someone asked, how many hours are you devoting towards your econ business? I know Ozzy was a lot more strategic with his. For me, I didn't count the hours. I just made the hours count. It was just like, if I wasn't sleeping, eating, or spending time with the kids or working, it was econ. So I'm not sure, like, because I know you got a full-time job, you got your fiance, you got a life, you got, your other business too as well, which we didn't even really talk about a whole lot tonight. But like, how is it like, cause yeah, that's kind of busy, how is it that you squeeze ecom in like with all that stuff going on? I just talking about it out loud is just like, man, Emily's got a lot going on.
I don't have kids, but I do have a lot going on. So I know a lot of people that do have kids. I mean, like I
have kids, Emily.
Yeah.
She's like who do I know that has kids? I'm just messing.
Prime example. You have plenty of children, so I just when I go to work, I go to work and then I come home and I start directly on my store. And I go from the time I get home and I eat while I'm working on my store. And then I go all the way until I go to bed at night. So, and that really is, what I do. That's probably why I've gotten where I've gotten. Obviously with the help of others, but there is a lot of that I come home, I work on my store, and that's my life right now. But it's not going to be that forever. You just have to make that commitment. Like Ozzy was saying last night, you have to make a commitment. Like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it 100%. The time that I was taking watching TV or doing, something that doesn't matter. You could take that time and work towards your store. If you're I don't have to have a certain structure, which is probably not the greatest, but I, I'm used to, I'm used to just working all the time. So
Yeah, so you got like, work and family is
yeah.
like, priority, right? And then, outside of that, you got your other business, which, I don't even know, like, so you mainly run that on like the weekends, or is that like kind of like, you know, you
Uh,
split that with like your other, so I'm assuming like your partner is probably like really good with like working with you and kind of communicating to make sure that, is up and functional and stuff like that. It sounds like. So pretty much like you got that, and then obviously like ecom, but you place a priority on like your e-commerce business versus like going to the movies, or like, hey, maybe let's go to the beach for the weekend, because like, it sounds like you might be by a beach, right? So it's just like, oh, I could go to the beach and have fun and relax and chill, or I could do all the stuff for my business that could possibly like help me make more money than what I made last month.
well, it's funny that you say that. I did just go on vacation, but it it's still a vacation for me, but I was at the beach, but I still have my laptop with me. I was, sitting out on the balcony working out on my store.
Gotcha. So it was like semi vacation.
Yeah. It's kind of like really once you get into it and you start doing, your everyday processes, you get in it's almost like second nature. Like I just know that what I do is I come home and I go to work on my store. That's what I do. Um, and once you get into that rhythm, that's just how it will go. And you will start to see results from that. Everything that you do now will snowball and you will see results 100%. So don't even, I've been frustrated. I have been super frustrated. I have wanted to quit 5 million times, but I know that I couldn't because I have to make this work. It's something that I 100% want to make work, and that's the kind of commitment that you have to it. It is not going to happen overnight, not even in a week. I don't care who you are; it's not going to happen in a week because you can't get a business set up in a week. They're not going to respond to you in a week.
Yeah, the station that's just gonna say, "Hey, what's up, Steve? Yeah, I'm glad. I've been waiting on your paperwork. We're just gonna get you up and started right today."
Not going to happen. It's just something you got to commit to, and that's um,
Now, I'm just curious. So based off of everything that you know now, do you feel like with your second, third, maybe fourth store that you launched, you could probably do that at a quicker rate?
yeah. That's I think that's more accurate for maybe like taking maybe 1 to 2 weeks. I know some people that can get a store up in like maybe 4 days. And obviously that's with the minimum amount of products.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. That's like pending, like everything is like, the whole process. So, and that's the other thing too that I tell people, especially in the beginning, and they're going through the content and they're just like, oh my God, it's so much information I have to learn. I'm like, yes, but at the same time, it's just like riding that bike, or, I like using like the car analogy, because like everybody who starts driving a car, I don't care who you are, you suck. Right? Like if you've never drove a car before, like, you're gonna probably be slamming on the brake at the wrong time. Like, you're not gonna be like, in your lane probably all the way. Like, I don't care who you are, like you were probably terrible when you first started. But the more that you drive, right? Like the less anxiety that you have, because like there's other cars just flying past you, and like you got to get to your destination, and GPS tells you to take a right, and you're like, there is no right, like where's the updated map? Right? Like it's just not a good experience like the first few times, but the more you do it, like your anxiety gets less. Next thing you know, like you're drinking, some Coca-Cola, and you're cruising and you're listening to music, and you're just able to be a really good responsible driver, right? And the same thing, especially like with high ticket ecom, like you're not going to know how suppliers are going to respond. One person is going to throw you for a loop and ask you for something that you've never even heard of. This is just going to look really weird to fill out on the application, and then you're going to want to quit like 500 times in the whole process of it all. Like, trust me, like there's been times I've even wanted to quit, even with like stores making money. Like, like, oh my God, this is terrible. I should just like, stop doing the econ and just go do something else. Right. And then I just remember like just how much opportunity is just still available, and like, the things I know I can fix and improve on to have a better experience. Right. And you just figure out ways to overcome those challenges. And now what you really do in the whole process of it is like you're equipping yourself to be able to be more efficient, more intelligent, solve problems that come up way quicker. Right. And you're able to, again, when you go to start to do the duplication side of things and open up multiple stores, that you're positioning yourself to win from a long-term perspective. So
Yeah, that's so accurate. I love that, and the car analogy is perfect because I was like pumping the brakes at the wrong time, and oh, it was so bad. But and I would ask, because I was nervous about everything. Like, well, what do I say? Is this the right thing to say? Should I say this? This customer asked me this. What am I supposed to do? But
yeah.
just take a breath and take 5 breaths and calm down, and you will get through it. And just ask somebody. You do not have to have an answer like 3 seconds after they message you. I am somebody that would need to hear that, because on my first sale it was horrendous. And I definitely
Honestly, I think everybody's first sale is. So I don't think we probably have like a ton of people listening. And honestly, I don't know if most people are probably going to get to this part in the conversation. So we'll talk about this a little bit more right now. My first sale too was terrible. It was horrible. Like, I mean, it was absolutely atrocious. Like, I think I sent the wrong product to the customer. Like, like it was like a hot mess. Like, I was responding like with like weird stuff I probably shouldn't have said in the email. Like I didn't really know how to talk to my supplier. Like, it was at the end of the day, like when my first sale, I actually lost money because I literally made every single mistake that you possibly could. Like, it was just really bad. But even with all that anxiety and everything that was going on with like getting that first order, like finally getting the guy the product that he ordered, like the thing for me was that, oh my God, this worked.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, someone bought something.
Yep.
And so even as miserable as I was, like getting that situated, even before the next sale came in, I just knew that it worked and somebody else could possibly buy something again.
Yeah.
And it was like that second and third one where that like made up for the first one that I had. And I just didn't make those same mistakes that I did the first time again. And obviously got smarter and wiser as I started to progress. But yeah, my first sale was terrible, y'all. I don't even tell y'all that live on like podcasts or like stuff that y'all be listening to. Y'all be like, Ernest is so perfect. He just knows everything. He's amazing. I know you say that, but no, I fell flat on my face like everybody else. And I just persevered through it, like Emily talked about. Like, wanted to pour a little bit of hair that I had out because it was just so much. But it's just like, and again, like Emily, you talked about it, Ozzy talked about it. It's just knowing that like we actually have like a real business. It's like, again, just treating it like a business and not like this, like a lot of the content that you guys see out on the internet with the screenshots and stuff. Like, you're just not just going to make a ton of money and just not have to do anything in order to make it happen. There's going to be some work involved. There's going to be, you're going to have to learn a little bit more possibly about your products to figure out like, hey, where can I increase like revenue opportunities at? You're going to have to learn a little bit more about AdWords. You're going to learn how to, I had someone messaging us in the group today about Google Analytics. You got to learn about that stuff. Like, it's going to be a constant, learning and ongoing process. But, the better that you get, the wiser that you get, that revenue growth is just going to keep going up and up and up. And next thing you know, you got the hockey stick and you're like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So, man, Emily, we kept you on for a long time tonight. I am so sorry. I did not mean to eat up your time. It just, man, it seemed like we were on for like 10 minutes.
I love answering questions, so I'm okay with staying on this long. But I know that, like you said, I don't know if people will get to this part of the video. It's pretty long.
No, so Emily, any like last like words of wisdom, like, hey guys, like, if I could just if you could just leave people with just something that, you think will be, beneficial or add some value to people that's still on with this anything with that.
Yeah. It's just kind of reiterate, you don't have to be, you can have a full-time job, and you can wear a lot of hats. You can have kids. There's no excuse why you shouldn't be doing this. If you're interested in it, and this is something that you want to do, but you keep making excuses for yourself, uh don't do that. There's absolutely no reason why you can't do this, because there is a person from every single walk of life that is doing this. Um, you know, to having kids, to having multiple businesses already, um, there's always a way to do it. And if you're getting frustrated and you're stuck, just ask somebody. Don't keep banging your head against the wall. Just ask somebody to help you, even if it's me. Um, there's always somebody that's going to answer in the group. So don't get frustrated. Take if you are, maybe take like even just 10 minutes of go walk somewhere and cool down and come back to it, and you will be okay. That's all. That's my advice. Don't freak out.
In a nutshell, don't freak out. That's awesome, man. Well, I know everybody that's listening right now, they definitely appreciate you dropping man, you gave a lot tonight. You gave, pretty much, people can kind of take a lot of the content that was discussed here and just, kind of run with it in different components of their business. It's like, hey, you're not getting sales, do some of this. You're not getting approved with suppliers, do a little bit of that. If you don't have any suppliers, here's how to go find some, right? You just giving out all the juice tonight. So I might have to edit some of this out. So we can't be giving away everything, right? But no, I probably won't mess with the content. I got too much going on actually to probably even do any editing anyways. But man, it's been great having you on here tonight. And for those that are actually still watching, as promised, I actually have a little treat for you guys. So again, you guys know I've been traveling all over the globe. Just came back from the Philippines. I was in Manila, I was in Cebu, I was in Panglao. Then before that, I was over in Bali. Before that, I was over in Thailand. Just all over the place. And speaking at stages and just giving out all this juice at these private events and masterminds and things of that nature. So I said, you know what? Let's put something together here in the US, right? So I'm actually going to do a workshop in Atlanta. And no fake scarcity, no gimmicks, no any of that. Like I can only have 17 people at this event. It's priced very, very conservatively. Nothing crazy, anything like that. Pretty much just to help cover the weekend, the conference center places and the place that we're going to be at, stuff like that. That's going to be going down in Atlanta at the end of the month. I made a post about it because I wasn't even sure if I was going to do it or not. And there was a pretty decent amount of responses. So I said, you know what, let me go do some digging and see if I can put something together, something that's going to be, beneficial for everybody. So I'm going to be doing a live workshop in Atlanta at the end of the month. I'm going to drop a link on this live so you guys can check it out. And pretty much we're going to be letting it rip. We're going to be covering the whole process of, hey, how to, position yourself to, really crushing the ecom like Emily talked about today, how to make sure that you guys are picking niches that's going to profit, and really a very strategic game plan to, take advantage of what's coming up, which is the craziest season out of the year, Q4, right? Yeah, it's about to get crazy in Q4. Yeah. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna drop the link for that workshop. Again, it's only open to 17 people. You guys have seen me in rooms with thousands of people, so I don't have any doubt that this will probably get filled up very quickly. But if you guys are still hanging out with us, I told you guys I would drop the link tonight. You guys won't see it anywhere else on any of my social media accounts. Like I promised, I was only going to share with you guys tonight. I'm thinking about probably messaging like a few people I know that responded to the previous post I had, and then we'll see how the next couple of days go. And maybe it might be just like a sold out post that I finally put out on social media. But I wanted to do something special for my peeps there in the U.S. because I know you guys love me. But I don't know, it kind of felt like everyone else outside the U.S. kind of been loving me more. But you guys are amazing. So anything else for the folks, Emily, or you just gave them everything you got tonight?
I gave them everything. I really do thank you for doing this. It was really cool to I guess be on this level. Really neat hearing all those comments and stuff, and just the fact that you wanted to interview me was mind blowing anyway. So
well, Emily, more than anything, you absolutely earned the right to be on this session with us here. And even though you're not at the 6-figure months or anything yet, like the whole purpose of doing the whole ecom success series is like, hey, like you've been putting in the work, you're seeing results, you got thousands of dollars that's coming in on an ongoing basis, you got hundreds of visitors that are getting to your site every couple of days. Like you got the foundational aspect of like what it takes to build like a monster sized business. And as you already know, it's just a matter of just like pouring gasoline on the fire.
yeah, it really is. It's crazy. I'm excited.
Yep. So awesome sauce, man. Appreciate everybody being on with this. This is the end of today's session. Tomorrow's session, I believe, is going to be starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Worst case scenario, obviously, I'll post because I don't have the exact time with me right now. But you guys are amazing. We'll see you on the next session. Thank you for being on here with us today, Emily.
All right. See y'all later. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Later, everybody.